Get out and you have a cup of coffee with a girlfriend and you guys never quit talking for 6 hours. You're like, and you talk at the exact same time. And it's amazing. My husband used to watch Alon and I and be like, how do you just do that? You listen and yet you never shut up. And I'm like, I don't know. We just have so much to say and we just dump on each other. I said, I guess it's just because I have this need to get all these words out because I have been with babies for weeks and I need language. Women have so many words to use and men use them all at work.
Yep.
And then come home and just want to sit.
Yeah.
And we are not even started. And so we need all this friendship, and yet friendship is the hardest thing for women to hang on to. It really is. It's such a difficult thing. In the world, I see friendships broke up all the time over a stupid screen. This is why it's not good to text or to use Facebook for serious conversations, because things get misunderstood. Best to talk in face-to-face and know each other and those kind of things. So friendship is a rare covenant, but it is in the Bible. Rare doesn't mean it's impossible, and rare doesn't mean that it's not important. It just means it's rare. In fact, actually, it means if you can find it, hang on to it. Hang on to it. Treasure it. Take care of it. Cultivate it, and be careful. Know the pitfalls you can fall into. One of the best one to look at is Jonathan and David. And yes, this is two men, but these were two gushy guys.
Yeah.
You ever read their story? These are two gushy guys. They weren't gay. They were not homosexual. They were gay happy, but they were not homosexuals. David was married. He married Jonathan's sister.
Yes.
Okay? He was a married man. But these, you got to understand their culture. These guys, every guy greeted each other with kisses. Their culture was just very touchy when they greeted. Our guys meet now and they're just like, they barely shake a hand. It's not the way they were in that culture. So but these guys were gushy. These guys loved each other. In fact, the Bible describes them. I'm going to read this to you. The Bible describes them. They loved each other as they loved their own soul. So, 1 Samuel 18, verse 1. Now when he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David. David had just finished having a conversation with Saul. Saul is the crowned king. David has been anointed as king when he was a boy. David has killed Goliath, had all this favor now. He's been brought into Saul's house, and Saul just had a dinner with them, and David has talked with him, and Saul sees wisdom in David and just honors him. And Jonathan's soul was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as he loved his own soul. Now Saul took him that day and would not let him go home to his father's house. He's talking about David. Would not let David go back to his house anymore. So he said, David, you're going to live here. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as he loved his own soul. So it says it again. And Jonathan took off the robe that was on him and gave it to David, with his armor, even to his sword and his bow and his belt. Now you got to understand this exchange. Jonathan is the king's son. His robe is worth something. Okay? Is it not working?
It's coming and going.
You turn over here, then it stops.
So Jonathan's robe was worth something. He's the king's son. So anyway, Jonathan's robe was worth something. Now remember, David is a shepherd. Can you imagine now part of a covenant is exchanging clothing. Exchanging often a ring and clothing, and a lot of times there was an animal sacrifice, which was a form of worship. I know that sounds gruesome, but when we come here and worship at church, that really is our form of sacrifice. We don't do animal sacrifices because Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. But by worshiping Jesus, we're partaking in the sacrifice. So we're worshiping together, we're actually communing together, and we're actually completing a covenant. So the people you worship with, it's a covenant relationship. That's why it's important that you worship with your spouse. It's why it's important you worship with your children and you don't deny doing that and wait too long to do it, because you're building a covenant relationship with your family when you worship together. And it's important who you do worship with, because you're making a covenant with them. That you don't just go and worship with people you don't agree with. That's kind of a hard thing to do. You start making a covenant with something you're not in agreement with. And that's hard. And then it's hard to get out of it. That's why you don't go do something stupid like go hang out in a cult,
Right.
and start getting involved in that kind of stuff, because you're actually covenanting yourself to it. So again, that's a bond, it's a friendship thing, and those things are very strong. Who you worship with, you begin to stay with, because worship is a very strong bond. And these guys